Welcome to the show. Remember Morning Cofefe with Mikie Dreidel? Quarantine was so much fun back then. Had a blast doing it. I mean, what else were we doing? We were locked up in our apartments, not much going on. Home workouts. We had cooking at homes. A lot of OFs started that year. It was a good time. I thought about reviving Morning Cofefe. Then it became Morning Joe once Biden was elected. Then we're back to Morning Cofefe. But when I would post, I mean, everybody's, we're back in the normal world, so everybody would be at work. Not much people paying attention to it or watching it. So, and then with all the other ideas and shit going on in my head, the focus just wasn't there and the consistency wasn't there. Good morning, Bubba. So now it's just me and my kids, and I'm doing this new thing. Well, one of two. Unscripted with Mikie Dreidel. Well, not Mikie Dreidel, but yeah, I'm just gonna talk about stuff as it happens. It's on my mind. My take on things. Offer some advice if you got it. You want to ask a question, you can always send it. I think there will be I think I'm going to try this for 10 episodes, see how it goes. And I think one of them will be a AMA, Ask Mike Anything. I'll let you guys know where. And there'll be some giveaways. I got some stuff that I'm giving away that I don't need anymore. And trying to develop this into a podcast, I bought so much shit that I don't know if I'm going to need it now because I've just been overthinking it and getting stuck in here. At first, I wanted to do this outside in the park because before the weather started getting too cool. And I did. Okay, first of all, I was using Blackmagic camera because I wanted this cinematic beauty, and I'm using my old iPhone 11 to do this. And so some of the best features with Blackmagic app, which is if you really want to make good shit, download the app. It's fantastic, and use DaVinci editing program. They're part of the same. It's good if you're really into editing and fun. Anyway, I set up. I went back and forth with framing everything and getting myself in the right position, and tried not to sound too but I just had so much I wanted to share, and I have like all my notes like right here. And while I was doing all of that, I was actually recording the setup, and then when I hit the thing, I stopped the video. And unlike the iPhone video app, once you can hear when you stop and play or stop and record, you get the chime. But I just like, and I did this whole 45-minute thing, and I thought I had like this really cool sign off and all of that. And I talked about all kinds of stuff. And then when I went around the camera, it was off. And I went, oh my God, I just spent 45 minutes in the park and people watching me talking to my phone on a tripod. I was so mad. I was so mad. And this was like a week and a half ago. And I was so mad at myself, and I felt so stupid. I was like, you're a fucking loser. What are you doing? So, yeah. And I'm looking at the camera. It is recording this time. I'm using the front-facing camera. Anyway, lesson learned. Make sure it's recording. Come into frame, and you can just edit that shit out later. Because I just wanted this perfect, like, good morning. Welcome to the podcast. So yeah. I did that. So then I started overthinking everything. And I mean, I could still do it. I mean, it's not too bad out there. But the other part was the noise and the other stuff. Now, the noise cancellation in my mics, they're pretty cool. They're very, 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 very good. Um, but I just didn't know. And it's like in production, you learn there's so many variables that I forgot and half didn't realize that with what I'm using now, it's not that big of a deal. You can really minimize or get rid of a lot of the background noise and stuff like that. So, um, and there's this, I think it was during quarantine, I found, or maybe before that when I was shooting last call, I was trying to find ideas on how to light my scene or when I wanted to do videos for Facebook or whatever. I found Sean Cannell. He was this YouTuber, you might know him, is called Think Media. Shout out to you guys. At night, I like to watch YouTube videos before I go to bed, like, reviews and stuff like that on tech and stuff. So there's Sean Cannell, who for video and editing stuff, and his whole thing since then has blown up into this huge business and affiliates and resources and different people shooting content for that channel. And of course, Flossie Carter, bro, the funniest dude. Side note, Flossie, if you're watching this, I am a sneakerhead. I love bags and I love tech. And you've been focusing a lot on phones and stuff. I want to, get some new bags, a new sneaker. I love the whole thing you did with your daughter with the sneaker. Anyway, so he was doing an interview on his podcast and of someone who followed along with found him and did stuff, and one of his taglines is, you just got to start shooting. Stop thinking, get out of your head, just start shooting. So that's what I did this morning. I was having coffee, watching the news, and I'm like, I miss Morning Cofefe with Mikie Dreidel. But the new podcast is Unscripted and Unrehearsed with Mikie Dreidel and Figueroa. That's me. So I wanted to, and now the original version of this was on Saturday nights at the end of the week. It would be a review and reflection on the week before, things I've accomplished, things I experienced, stuff I wanted to share. Because when you live in New York City, there's so much going on that it'd be nice for people to know what it's really like, what's going on here. And I'm not one of those people that likes to, because you see them, I get ahead of myself. My day job that keeps the lights on around here is I work for a theater company, and I used to be a Broadway usher, and now I'm a ticket taker at where I work. I've been off all summer. Our new show starts previews next Tuesday. And it's exciting. It's called Chess with Leah Michelle and a couple other people. I forgot their names. Anyway, it's a big deal. People are jazzed about it, and I'm happy to go back to work. Anyway, so when you're in Times Square, which is fun to do, and you see me post stuff from around there, you see a lot of people doing this, and I don't want to be one of those people. And I've seen people set up their shit and get ready to shoot, and here comes some crazy dude running by, snatches their gear, and keeps going, and that's it. They get ripped off, and you got to be careful because, side note, when you're in Times Square, there are people walking around with these things in their bags. They walk real close to you and they keep going. And basically, they just skimmed and scanned your stuff in your pocket. So get those RNDF, whatever, blocking wallets, bags, etc. Just watch your asses out there. Anyway, I'm not that guy. I don't want to be doing all of this, and because I feel self-conscious. But anyway, I would like to share some stuff that I see and experienced. So we're starting this up again. My notes went away. Oh yeah, so I enjoyed doing that, but because of the I guess the engagement in it wasn't really there, and then I got sidetracked, and I thought, why am I wasting my time with this? Am I taking away from my focus on, studying, or, trying to be the best actor I can be, or finding ways to find acting work, and, what do I do to find representation? All that stuff. I'm like, oh, stop beating yourself up. It'll come when it comes. It'll happen. Just focus right now. To get away from all of that and being on in my head and trying to like grind it, grind, keep grinding, keep grinding. Don't slack off. I was burning myself out up here and physically, and I was not having fun. And doing this is fun for me because, and I'm reading plays and trying to memorize the scene. That's fun for me. Just keeps me, uh, and analyzing. It keeps me fresh and ready. What was it? Oprah said, preparation plus something, just being ready for the opportunity, just being ready to, being in that space when the opportunity knocks and hits, you're ready. So that's how I've been trying to live my life. And so I'm, trying to have more fun. And there's this and another project that I'm working on. It's all mapped out. And it'll be more, around the things that bring me joy, which is guitar and bass, which I have been really poor at practicing. And I'm going to share this. I'm just going to say it. I mean, 5 years ago, I got a guitar and I got a bass and I got another guitar and another guitar. And I have not really practiced the way I want to because my attention span is not the way it used to be. I think that mostly because of these things. And I get really frustrated and start beating myself up that I'm not progressing. But when I get a moment, I sit down and I just try to play scales and not anything toward an achievement, just, doing the thing. So I figure, if I'm doing the motion in my head, I'm, playing, which is fine. It's okay. My goal was not to be this, major jammer. I just wanted to learn how to play. And that's what I've been doing, learning how to play. But I have a goal for next year. And so it's going to be centered around that, fitness, which I've loved since I was a kid, especially bodybuilding because of my cousin Dominic, and theater and acting. So those are the three things that bring me joy. And so I'm working on something around that, which I think will be it'll be more of in a studio or set up, if I can get my place set up right, with people, talking about these things and how they all interconnect and what these different people bring to the table. And I mean, it's a fun thing. So I'm creating something for myself. And I forgot to. I'm getting excited myself. I'm so excited. 1 second. I love coffee. Oh my God. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. My kids are fed. It's quiet so far. The other thing too is like trying to shoot here in my bedroom. I'm on the second floor and I face the street. And during the week, like one moment it's dead silence, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'll start shooting. Then all of a sudden, because I live 3 blocks from Columbia Medical School and the hospital, Presbyterian Columbia, ambulances, and emergency vehicles and cops, they're always up and down the avenue with everything blaring. And the Uptown number 4 bus is right outside my window. So when that pulls in, as it's doing now, I don't know if you can hear, it just fucks up the mood and it just pisses me off. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Anyway, I forgot what I was saying, but maybe this will jolt me back. Oh yes, my kids are fed, everything's quiet, and I can do this now. So oh yeah, so I got distracted by, life stuff, and I just didn't post. I didn't think anybody was interested in watching or whatever. But I figure, it's really just for me. I mean, I know I have people out there who enjoy my content and want to hear more from me. It's just a matter of me being consistent. So what I did was on my YouTube, some of the stuff that I like to do is I figured I'm not really utilizing the YouTube channel. Oh, I just remember the YouTube channel. So I like there in my old building where I live now, I would find cool shit in the lobby. People moving out, people moving in, get rid of stuff they don't need, purging, whatever. I'm like, oh, I could use that. And I would be thinking, oh, I got to get this thing I need. I'm like, oh, I don't want to spend the money. Sometimes you buy the five and dime and it's really crap. I'm like, all right. So I found dishes and I found containers and I found a chair. I have to do that and a bowl. So I started this new series called Lobby Finds. You should check it out. And then another thing I was trying to do was with videos with me and Max. And so I started one of those. And then I started one the day I moved in. Well, before I moved in, but the day I got the keys and I was just in my empty bedroom, I put that video up. Just trying to find stuff. And then I tried some product reviews. Oh, God, yes. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Can you hear that? There's a dog barking out there. Max, seriously, he's looking out the window. I tried my hand at product reviews, and I thought I would just upload them, but I need to Amazon because well they have I have to read the algorithm or the website rules and regulations of what you can say, what you can't say, because I posted some of them there. Not good. I'm like, this is crap. Don't buy this. But they're like, we can't post this for whatever reason. So you can't. They want reviews, but they don't want your honest take. This is garbage. Don't buy this thing. And I used to get mad before, like, oh fuck, I just wasted all this money. What the fuck am I gonna do? And then I realized you can send this back and get a refund, or you can get a replacement or whatever. Just figure it out. And I did. So yeah, what I remembered, the other thing I did was, so a lot of you know that I went back to school to, just because trying to take acting classes to stay sharp and exercise those muscles. It's a very expensive and it's a very daunting experience when you work in the evenings or at night, and that's when most classes are going on. So you either have to sacrifice, especially in my job, if I take a shift off, I don't get paid unless I use a sick day, and then that's like the worst thing you can do, because if you do get sick, anyway. So I had to make that sacrifice. It was 1 day a week for about a year and a half. I lost a day's pay, but I thought what was more important was me getting better at what I'm doing, or in my craft, or suffering and trying to being upset for no reason because I can't find a daytime class. And there was a day, and there was a daytime class, but it was go to class and then hightail it to work because time was short. So you I bought food, had it with me in class. Class was ended. I would, on my way to work, eat and work. It was, and I'm no spring chicken, but I'm like, you know what? I heard in many different ways and different platforms. How bad do you want it? What's important to you? And then my uncle's words ringing in my ear since I was 17. It's not about what you need, not about what you want, Michael. It's about what you need. And what I need was to go to class. And what I needed for myself was to get better. So I made a decision. So I did that. And it wasn't so bad. Uh, it wasn't so bad. And I was grateful for it. I was happy to do it. It made me happier. And I read so many more plays. I got to work with some really talented people. And I don't want this to sound cliche, but there is a sense of when people The sense of imposter syndrome is real. And I know a lot of friends who are notable or celebrities. I have celebrity friends, and they're out there, they're doing their thing. And we've had this conversation many times. And they're like, Mike, I can't believe this is me now. I can't believe this is crazy to me. I'm like, well, don't worry. Soon it'll be my turn. I'll be right there with you. They're playing. Okay, Max thinks he's a cat, so he wants to play with Tony, and Tony is not having it right now, and she's letting him know. What are you doing? You're too big to do that. Okay. We experience it for real. And sometimes I wonder, like, am I as good or am I good at this at all? And I mean, I've gotten feedback from a lot of people who have seen me perform. And they're like, wow, that was really cool. And I appreciate that. When I know that I was in the zone is this happens to me. And I don't know if it happens to a lot of other people. I walk in, I go on, somebody says action, and then I hear cut, and everything between action and cut, it's a black empty space. I don't remember anything I said, anything I did, nothing I experienced. I'm like, wait, what? And that's when I know I was in that zone. And it's a very freaky experience where I don't remember. It's like from one moment to the next. Like if you've seen a YouTube video that's edited, like they're talking and they pop into another. It's like that. It's disconcerting for me because I would like to know, what did I just do, where everybody was like, whoa. And I'm like, because I want to replicate that, but that's not what this is. It's that moment. That's what it's about. So I get feedback from my instructors, and we work on scenes, and I get such great feedback from them that it propels me forward in class and levels that I wish I could get casting directors or being put in a position where they see me do that thing, and I'm able to do what I really want to do is, be in plays. There aren't many plays being produced. It's a lot. I'm in a medium where in New York City for sure there's a lot of musicals, and I don't sing, and I'm not trained that way. I think they do. And I don't want to limit this, but I just see that from what I've seen the last 10, 11 years working on Broadway, the pizzazz gets a lot of attention and effort, and everybody's in that realm of musical theater, and that's, people want to be entertained that way. They like that. It's very hard, especially for me, and I've been there, is to sit through an hour and a half play if you're not invested in it the way someone like me would be, because you're it takes a lot to sit still and like focus, and it's got to really grab you, and there isn't a lot of that. But the plays that I love to do and I want to do, see myself doing, and I'm looking up at my shelf of plays. I can't. I really would like. That's what I want, and it's very far and few in between opportunities like that in New York, or that I found in my experience so far. But it's coming. It's there. It's just a matter of. So I felt like I just went on a tangent. Anyway, I enjoyed the process and the learning and working with these different people. There were some folks in class that I saw, they had a long way to go. And I think that they would really succeed. I did experience this one moment when I first started acting. Was I don't want to tell that story now because that's for something else. However, it was my uncle who said this to me, and I also read it in Meisner's book, where he said it's going to take you about 20 years to become a good actor. And you tell that to a 17-year-old, it's like you're talking about centuries away. And I was like, I don't want to, 20 years. What they were saying was, and what I realized was that becoming a great actor, I think, and they think, is your life experiences are your toolbox for where you draw upon emotion and moment and memory to bring a fictional circumstance to life. And watching myself through my classmates, and I'm aware that they're there and how they react, and the feedback and the direction from my teachers, solidified in myself that I have those skills that are growing and solid. They are solid. And I just want to be able to do that, full time. I do have one acquaintance who I met years ago on a project. I was basically a background actor that became a featured, and I was talking to the producer and the writer about making him more of a character. It was a project called Mr. Bones, and it was about New York nightlife and a murder mystery where go-go boys and people involved, or like there's a criminal element to it. And we were talking about making my character an undercover cop who was trying to figure out who was doing these murders. So someone I met on there, we've not that we've stayed in touch, but we've run into each other throughout the years, periodically, or the most random places. And one day, I was taking class at this studio that was on 54th Street. That's not there anymore. I forget the name, but I was getting on the elevator to go up, and he was coming out. He had just come from an audition, and maybe a year later or so, he was on looking. So I'll leave it at that. Right now, he's going to be in one of those zombie shows. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, I wanted to say, it's a long road, and it's I'm just experiencing the joy of doing the thing. It's just wonderful for me. Let's see, what else did I want to mention? Oh, this has been a really emotional summer, I want to say. When Bad Bunny released Debí Tirarme Foto, I wasn't a huge reggaeton fan, and I wasn't a fan of his, really. I just thought that not to be like, in my day we had music, we called listen to, but it was just, reggaeton is so sexually over the top, and explicit, that I'm like, how the, it was kind of like, it reminds me a lot of gangster rap, like the way they would describe shit. Reggaeton doing that sexually, and in Spanish, it's like the ancient languages, or the not ancient languages, the romantic languages like Italian and French and Spanish. When you say something with that flair, it's just like so much more, that you're like, what? That's a lot. But this album, when I listened to Debí Tirarme Fotos, I found myself thinking about my family and my grandmother. It was, okay, I think we've all been in that situation, where, everything's chill, and all of a sudden somebody pulls out a camera. Oh, let's take a picture. You're like, okay, you take the picture, and like, oh, we do some, oh no, you blinked, oh this, all that stuff. Or waiting, it just became this thing where you're like, oh my God, put the camera away. But then when the pictures come back, you're like, oh yeah, that was fun, blah, blah. But then listening to the lyrics and see if I can translate it. Good for you. Is wish we'd taken more photos. That time we had in the moment we could. Um, it just reminded me of, see, my mother's mother passed away in 2000, and my father's mother passed away in 16. And in each instance, I had been in touch with them to spend more time with them on the weekends when I was off. And for my mother's mother, she died that weekend. And for my father's mother, uh, she died, I think it was in the middle of the week. And I was leaving town for a gig I was doing in Florida. And I couldn't back out of it because I was already paid and there were contracts signed. And I was like, oh shit. And so I didn't get to say goodbye like that, which is fine because when my mother's mother passed, my mother was in Queens. She couldn't get to my grandmother, and I was in Brooklyn. My grandmother was in Brooklyn, and I had to go and identify her body. And I'm glad my mother did not have to do that. My father, though, he was the one that discovered my grandmother had died in her sleep. So at least she went like that. But I'm sure he is glad no one else had to do that. I guess we the men took care of that moment for both of our families. So it just brought back to all these times where I wish I'd visited more. I wish I had taken more photos. I wish, all those things. And it just hit. And then, there was a time for me being biracial. I was raised with my mom's family. So I always identified more with them. And because I passed for Italian, I stuck with my Italian family a lot, because swarthy looking, I was just, but I never really felt a part of based on their acceptance of me. They like, oh, you're family, so yeah, you get to be here. My father's family, on the other hand, there was no question. It was always acceptance, 100%. But I didn't get along with my dad very much because of his homophobia and his constant racist nonsense, where I would have to remind him, hey, your kids are half white, you know. So it was very tough growing up with this man. So I just did, or being around him, and I didn't want to. And for my own mental health, I was just distant from it. But there was a time where I went to live with them because I wasn't getting along at home, and I got to learn Spanish from my grandmother in high school, which was kind of cool because I mean my mother's German, half German, and she we spoke Yiddish at home because it was just words that we knew, because my great grandmother spoke a lot of German and a lot of Yiddish. But in high school, I was like, oh, I'm gonna take German, but all the cool kids were in Spanish, and I wanted to hang out with the cool kids, and I didn't want to be like the gringo, which they used to call me. I just wanted to be with cool kids. I knew it would be an easy A, but I have a regret in life where I thought I didn't, but I was like, I had a chance to learn German, but I took the easy A, which was fine by now because right now I use it to my advantage because when people need help, I can be helpful. I am now in a place where I think about my grandmother a lot and my teenage years and living in the south side of Williamsburg and Greenpoint and being around the culture and it just brings back all those memories, and I feel like most young people do, regretful of the time where I had this opportunity and I really didn't lean into it, only because when you're biracial, you're like you feel a part of a lot and apart from a lot at the same time, and it's very stressful and exhausting because you're never really 100% with this side, or you always feel when you want to go around and be a part of everything, you're just not. It's hard. And I mean, my appearance is, I fit in visually with either side. There are some biracial people who don't. So yeah, the album really brought a lot of joy and sense of identity. Um, and the year before it came out, I got to go to Puerto Rico for the first time, and there was a time I just did not want to identify with being Puerto Rican. I was leaned into where my great grandparents are from, and before they migrated, so I was just being Eurocentric and being stupid that way. But the whole sense of my Boricuaness and being Puerto Rican, uh, I got to see where my grandparents were born. And I've always been a history head that way. I always wanted to know, where things, I think history was definitely the class I excelled in high school. Being ancient Roman history, the Renaissance, European history, and realizing that how the New World that you learned in grammar school, the New World was colonized, and like wherever we all came from, and like, oh yeah, we're all from somewhere else. Really cool. Um, I finally accepted myself fully. Um, and I, yeah, I accepted myself fully. There was a time where I'm like, I was self-accepting, but not completely. Um, I don't know. Sharing that is joyful for me. Um, did I forget anything? I don't know. I think. Oh, coffee. Um, yeah, I was upset though. I wish that residency happened while I was in Puerto Rico. I did. Okay, I was gonna do something real crazy. There were some people that were posting. I was living vicariously through all those posts. People who I don't even know. They were, follow reposts of reposts. I was just like, this is fucking awesome. But I did find myself looking for every night to see who the guest performer was gonna be. Oh God, there were so many, so many. I know that if he was still alive, Tito Puente would have been one of them. I know that if she was still alive, Celia Cruz would have been one of them. Um, but the finale of Mark Anthony, and people were asking like, why Mark Anthony? There's this one chick on TikTok, uh, was asking like, what is the significance? Like, why did everybody lose their shit? Because I'm seeing all these videos and everybody's losing their shit. And the thing is, Mark Anthony back in the '80s, there was this whole freestyle movement. He was one of the most popular freestylers. Him, La India, um, uh, a whole bunch of I can't remember their names now, but I was having a whole moment at the gym one day with freestyle. Um, but they were the ones that I think when they realized that the whole freestyle movement was starting to come to an end, the way grunge started and started coming to an end. Um, so they started transitioning into Spanish music. And he did do an interview years ago where he was like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just hoping it would stick. And I just tried. And it did good for him. So and he has a great voice. He has a really, really great voice. So I think when and I think everybody was like excited. Oh, maybe Mark Anthony's gonna come. He has to. He just has to. It would be so messed up if he. But I think it was planned from the very beginning. He was gonna have Mark Anthony come out, and I watched the live stream, and it was like it was more fun. The live stream was great. Don't get me wrong, it was great, but it was more fun watching people's posts of the night of the different shows throughout the whole residency. Um, so the crazy thing I was gonna do because somebody had posted, he's like, and he walked you through real time. He's like, I'm just gonna go. He looked up flights. I was like, oh, okay. Booked a round trip flight to go and come back the same day. or the next day, because from what I hear is like the whole experience starts like around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, where you go through like the outdoor um, uh, stuff that's going on, tailgating kind of things and shops and shit, and then you start making your way into the Coliseum, and then by the time you're out of there, it's like 11 or midnight, and then there's still partying going on. So I think it was truly a 24-hour experience, where from the time he booked his ticket to getting packing to getting to the airport, flying to Puerto Rico, doing the outdoor stuff, going into the concert, then getting some food or whatever, then headed back to the airport, and then came home. And he put it all on his credit card, and I opened my wallet and I'm like, should I do this? I mean, there were some rules and regulations though. You could not bring anything inside. So if you had a bag, you had to leave it somewhere. If you had like, your phone and your battery chargers and all that, he had like a clear fanny pack so you could see what was inside of it, but that's all he could take. He couldn't take anything. Um, so for a hot second, I was like, dare I? I didn't. Because those tickets were fucking crazy too, and I didn't have that much. I could have gotten myself there and back. That was about it on a credit card. Um, I got 2 kids to feed. I can't do that. So yeah. All right. I think that's it for now. I gotta pee real bad. Mm. So yeah, this past week has been quite the week. I hope everyone who's dealing with this shutdown, chin up, folks. Don't worry, we'll figure it out eventually. If you didn't remember, October 7th was Charm Day for all my magical people out there. I don't know. This past week for me personally has been a little much, but I'm excited I got my work schedule, so I go back to work next Tuesday. I'm kind of happy to, but I'm just kind of been liking this time off, working on myself. I have not been to the gym in over a month and a half because of depression. I'm just like, I got so much in my head and so much I want to do, and I just felt like I was in a rut and it was monotonous, and I was tired of getting on the subway and then dealing with people, and I needed a break from it. But I go back tomorrow, Sunday morning. I'm gonna try this new idea. And yeah, the news is crazy, but stay sane. Listen, for me, I'm not gonna say anything to you about it, but for me, I'm really minding my spending right now. I had some unemployment coming in. I've been living on a credit card. I have a steep bill I'm going to be paying off. That's fine. It wasn't frivolous, so I don't feel bad. I bought food. I took care of the kids. I did what I needed to do. I'm glad I had that safety net. Not many people do. But going forward, mind your spending. Stock up on essentials if you can. You're in a supermarket and you see those big things of water, grab one. I need to do that this week. I want to get a couple of those just in case. And if you did anything that you feel good about, keep that accomplishment. Remind yourself of that this week. Well, for today, that you accomplished something. It's all good. And if you made it this far, do me a favor, comment or hit me up with what kind of, I don't know, a sunshine emoji, so we can have some sunshine. Yeah, sunshine emoji in the comments. Let me know what you are grateful you accomplished this past week. Yeah. Yeah, I want to know what this past week you did that you feel you accomplished that makes you very happy. And then put a sunshine emoji. And then do all the things, like, comment, save, subscribe, whatever it is. If you're listening to this on like a podcast forum, if you download, it's better for the flow of this. If you like it, if you can, but if downloading is much better because it helps the algorithm move this up so people can find it. And this is the inaugural one. I finally did it. I got out of the way. Maybe I'll do one outside tomorrow for the beginning of the week. I don't know. It depends on the weather because it's supposed to, there's a nor'easter coming, so it might be wet and nasty. All right, my friends, thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your week. Before the storm comes, get out, do something. Go shopping, stock up, because I think it's going to be crappy. All right, later.